The other part is, as you touched on, it's the supernatural stuff, right? We can talk about how it accurately names place names and stuff like that. Awesome, love it. Spider-Man set in New York City. New York City exists, doesn't mean Spider-Man exists, right? Same thing. But again, if we're going to go out and say Spider-Man does exist, well, now we're saying Jesus, ascended to heaven and everybody saw him. We saw there's no census data that shows Jews were enslaved in Egypt. Where's that evidence? Stuff like that. Red Seas parting, that doesn't happen. All these other major central claims to the biblical story just don't have any evidence outside of the Bible.
Well,
so how can we say that's an accurate thing?
I think that's factually incorrect.
Real quick,
I do want to
where else does it
see
say
if you
that?
guys, yeah, I'm down to let you finish. I just want to let some of the other Christians also say some stuff too. But dude, you're doing great. I'm just saying I want to
Well, like Caleb said, that where else outside of the Bible is the story of the Red Sea parting, of Jesus ascending to heaven, of Jews being enslaved in Egypt, outside of the Bible?
If I could get my phone, I can show him. I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but there are findings of like particles in the Red Sea that shows that actually happened.
And I read an article 3 months ago where they
Wyatt.
proved scientifically that it could happen under the right
No, it did
meteorological
happen.
conditions.
Okay, I'm convinced.
It's kind of interesting.
It is fascinating, right? And I want to let Caleb talk before I jump in. But there are extra biblical sources.
I'd like to hear.
Because right now we're coming from the perspective of the prompt of that the Bible is a reliable text when you compare it to anything else that you accept as happening. It's just as reliable as those texts. And now if you're saying, well, we don't think it's reliable because we don't believe in all these miracles, that is a different question. And that would be similar back to the do miracles happen at all, right? So then we would have to go back to, well, we are coming to this topic with different presuppositions, different beliefs about what is or isn't possible. And that's a different discussion than, is the Bible reliable?
Yeah, if the writings about Caesar included fantastical supernatural events, then they wouldn't be like, okay, no, but we're going to believe this because we have some bias toward, like they would still be like, okay, but probably not the supernatural part.
Well, my issue is even atheists, based on that, you would have to look at evolution and the Big Bang as mythology, because based on everything that I know about science, like Daniel said earlier, like you believe in a virgin birth of there is literally nothing in the universe and then it starts, right? So how is it that you're saying, well, I don't live based on, things of mythology, I'm based on reason, but then you also, as the atheist, believe
Are there mathematical models that have been created?
So you're talking about quantum physics? Is that what you're talking about, the quantum physics theory?
You're talking about the Big Bang Theory and like things like that, like it's just a magical, like thrown out there idea. And look, I'll cop to it. I'm not a physicist. I don't necessarily understand these concepts. I don't think any of us have a PhD in astrophysics. No one in this room. But
love to, but
there
not yet.
are mathematical models created around this. It's not just an idea that someone was like, oh, I think this might.
Well, actually, Eugene Koonin, who is he is the leader of the National Center for Biotechnology Institute. He is a leading evolutionist theorist, and he calls the field, when it comes to the origin of life, he calls it by its goal, and he says that it's a plain failure because there is no plausible model for the origin of Earth, or for the origin of life.
Because evolution is a biological theory, it's not
the idea of the
abiogenesis
quantum physics theory that you're bringing up, which is a theory that, well, something can come from nothing, and I think mathematically, that in itself still relies on the definition of nothing to have some sort of particle or energy. My question to you then is, where did that particle come from? Where did that energy come from?
Where did God come from?
It still fails. Now,
it fails in the same way that the God hypothesis
it actually
fails.
doesn't fail in the same way. But this is what I'm telling you. If you discount that the virgin birth happened, you have to also discount there's a virgin. You guys also believe in the virgin birth of the universe. So. And I think we're getting
not
off
necessarily.
the prompt.
We are not claiming that.
I think that we're getting off the prompt.
I would say the one thing that I would say when talking about historical is when you look at the Bible and you look at how it's broken up, it's written in different literary styles, right? So there's certain parts of the Bible that are not going to be historically accurate in and of itself, but that's not the point, right? Like you look at Psalms, and the point of Psalms is not history, the point of Psalms is to communicate poetry. So you read it like you read poetry.
And some parts are just telling stories to guide behaviors.
Right, allegories, parable, things like that. There's components that I think even Christians would disagree of certain elements of the Old Testament that could be read one way or another. So is that the question you're asking?
That's where I typically struggled with the Old Testament being hard fact, because we have scientific evidence that if some of those things were hard fact, none of us would be here today.